What's up, my beautiful people? Back again for another daily dose of Reddit Hope and Happy, because we could use a little bit of both right now. Today we're going back into r/AskReddit, and I hope you got your tinfoil hats ready, because we're going to be talking about some crazy conspiracy theories. So, let's get to it. Okay, so the AskReddit question was, what is the funniest conspiracy theory? My cousin is a huge conspiracy nut, and we work together. One day I was leaving early to take my son to the doctors to get some vaccinations, and he flipped out on me. He told me they cause autism, which I told him they didn't and they never have. He made his arguments as I kept trying to leave. He then asked, what was the last thing vaccines have cured? To which I said, there are chickenpox, shingles, and HPV vaccines. He claimed this wasn't true, and that the last thing vaccines cured was polio. And that was created by the Nazis as a way to introduce AIDS and HIV receptors into our systems. When I told him the Nazis did not create AIDS, he insisted that I was wrong as there was a History Channel documentary on it. That conversation ended with me backing out of the parking lot yelling, the Nazis did not create AIDS, because he wouldn't shut up and let me leave. He also got mad at me for adding fluoride drops to our son's water occasionally, because there isn't fluoride in our tap water, because fluoride is a mind control agent used by the government, and that's why the masses are so calm. Edit, I just remembered there was something about hot dogs too. I can't remember what exactly, but I shouldn't let my son eat hot dogs. It wasn't for health reasons either. I just forgot to bring his sandwich to work with me one day, so I ran out and got a hot dog from Wawa. Certainly not the healthiest choice, but he flipped his lid over it because there was something in the hot dogs. The Nazis created AIDS. That is a new one. That is definitely a new one. My chemistry teacher had this dinosaur theory. You'll see why I quote it, but it's pretty elaborate. I'm going to give it my own creative spin as well as his original details. Humans have lived for only a fraction of a million years, and we've come very far, sending a man on the moon, splitting atoms, television, in a pretty short time span. Dinosaurs, however, had millions of years to live on the Earth. Logic would dictate that they would get much farther than humans have. But why did they all die? They didn't die. The dinosaurs knew what was going to happen to the Earth, so they got in their spaceships and flew off to a different, undisclosed planet. Why didn't they come back? They did return. You've read mythology of medieval times, right? What about Chinese mythology? A lot of different civilizations all around the span of a few centuries had dragons in their myths. They're not made-up fantasy creatures. The dinosaurs returned to Earth, striking fear into people who had not the weapons to kill it. But they left. Why? The dinosaurs left Earth again because it was too cold. As cold-blooded creatures, the dinosaurs could not live on Earth at the time. So the dinosaurs are done with Earth now, right? Wrong. They are preparing the planet for their return. After millions of years underground, we have found a fuel source from extinct plants that suits our needs in terms of technology. But what's the downside? It's causing global warming. That's right, the dinosaurs are literally tricking us into preparing a nice, toasty planet for them. We have other fuel sources though, one might say. Soon solar, wind, and nuclear energy will make fossil fuels obsolete. It won't happen under their watch. But why, you might ask? The dinosaurs control the media. This is ridiculous, you're thinking. We'd know if dinosaurs were in the media. What you would be forgetting is that the dinosaurs are extremely advanced. They have disguising technology that makes them appear human. This is not only for the fossil fuel industry, however. The dinosaurs work in all sorts of media. Have you seen Jurassic Park 2? The one girl is nice to the dinosaur and feeds it. The dinosaur is friendly and means no harm. Later, that same dinosaur is attacked by a man and is killed by it. The dinosaurs want you to obey them. They don't want you to fear them either. Think about the children's shows and movies with dinosaurs in them. Barney, The Land Before Time, Dinosaurs, Dinosaur, the list is endless. What about their new form? Dragons? Dragon Tales. This brainwashing is not only in children's stuff. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is filled with them. There are friendly dragons like Parthenax, however, by nature, they rule. You don't have shouts, you don't have magic. When the dinosaurs come back, you will submit to them. TLDR, everything in bold. The dinosaurs will come back and you will obey. The best part about this theory is that you can warp it in any way to close any possible holes in your story. They're technologically ahead of us by millions of years. They'll have something. Well, and this year would be the year for something like that to happen. I mean, my gosh. 2020, y'all. A few years ago when I was in Jordan, I was speaking to some Jordanian soldiers, and they told me that they all knew Osama bin Laden wasn't killed and that he was a political prisoner and in the same prison as Saddam Hussein. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but they never did release actual photos of his body or anything, as I recall anyway. So, and this is one of those ones that, I want to believe that it isn't true, but it could be. Especially since there's been a few very suspicious deaths of members of SEAL Team 6 that were involved in that raid. I don't know. I know someone that believes there is an island out there with dinosaurs still on it, like Jurassic Park style. No, it's not an island. It's in the middle of a hurricane or a whirlpool or whatever Dinotopia was. Bermuda Triangle, that's what we'll call it. Well, there is this video on YouTube where they think the Illuminati secret society killed Eminem and replaced him with a clone that was brainwashed into acting, speaking, and dressing like Eminem because Eminem knew too much and was revolting against the Illuminati. Really? Why would the Illuminati have so much interest in Eminem? But the follow-up comments here. So we'll never know who the real Slim Shady is after all. We're gonna have a problem here. Oh, gosh, that takes me back. I don't know if Truther is a site like The Onion or not, but they think Paul Walker was killed by an Obama drone strike. What? Why? Hitler never died and lives in a huge chunk of ice. Iceberg? Dunno. That's drifting around in Antarctica. Oh, he also caused the Titanic crash. Okay, so let's dismantle this here. The Titanic crash happened before Hitler's rise to power, I believe. So he would have had nothing to do with that. Now, as I recall, the US getting dragged into World War I was due to a German U-boat sinking a US supply ship to Britain, as I recall. But yeah, that was World War I, and again, had nothing to do with Hitler. He came into power after the Weimar Republic fell and used a lot of that chaos to seize it. Now, weirdly enough, I have actually heard this particular conspiracy, and I mentioned this in the last conspiracy video, in that supposedly the Nazis won World War II because they made everyone think that they no longer existed, but they actually have a secret Antarctic base under the ice, and they're just sitting there developing new technology and plotting for their return to come back and dominate the world. There are some crazy things out there. Kermit the Frog masterminded 9/11. After hearing that, it was enough internet for one day. Yes, because a beloved children's character would totally be willing to take down the World Trade Centers. I can totally see it. Follow-up comment to that, though. I think you may be confused, because there is actually an official Muppet movie where Kermit not being born results in a timeline where the 9/11 attacks don't occur. This one I actually had to look up, and this is what I found on Wikipedia. Yep. And It's a Wonderful Life-esque timeline where Kermit is never born and the World Trade Centers still stand to that day. Go figure. Okay, this is a local one. I'm German. I present to you the Bielefeld conspiracy. Bielefeld is, or is not, a city in northern Rhine-Westphalia. Why I wrote, or is not, because that's the theory. Bielefeld doesn't exist. There is even a Wikipedia entry about it. It goes that far that whenever somebody says, "Oh, I come from Bielefeld," or "I was in Bielefeld," people pop up and try to convince this person that they can't possibly come from there or have lived there. I have to admit, I love trolling people with this and driving them mad constantly, denying that Bielefeld exists and that anybody ever was there or lived there. How is this a conspiracy? I mean, it's a town. You can go there. Is this just like a running joke that everyone's like, oh yeah, we know, but whatever. Dinosaur bones were placed by the government in order to discredit religious people and fool them. That or the one where Stephen King killed John Lennon, on the grounds that he looked somewhat like the perpetrators. What? Stephen King killed John Lennon? That's a new one to me. Christian Bale has a twin brother, an emaciated twin brother that he uses for roles that require him to be really skinny. That's how he's able to continually transform his body from skeleton to super buff. A friend of mine who buys into all this crap told me one day that all of the powerful people in the world, rich people, corporations, politicians, etc., were working together to create a disease that they would use to control the people. If you didn't cooperate, then they would let your family die. I told him that this was laughably stupid. He told me, we'll see who's laughing when you're trading sexual favors for the cure. Admittedly, this is a 6-year-old AskReddit question. However, I'm starting to believe that this could be real given recent events. Not that I'm at that point, but I could see it, because if you look at all the celebrities and whatnot, they're very isolated in mega mansions when they sing Imagine and tell us we'll all get through this together. I don't know. It's starting to seem less and less crazy these days. That the world is actually normal, and everything is exactly as it appears. Crazy theory. My mother-in-law believed that the moon landing was fake, but pro wrestling was real. I gave her the prize. Follow-up comment on that, the moon landing was faked by pro wrestling. The city of Houston is in cahoots with the big oil industry to make the stoplights so badly timed that we spend more time idling at red lights, thus buying more gas, and yes, I do believe this. So, related story on that. When I got my first job out of college, I was working for a news radio station here in town, and I came in to do an overnight shift, and they're contracted with Bloomberg News. And so, from about, I think about 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., we would be running Bloomberg News. And part of my responsibility was to switch it over and all this other stuff and whatnot. Anywho, I had driven in that night. My shift started at like 10 p.m. and I hit red light after red light after red light after red light, just constantly. Nothing but reds. Literally just about every single one was a red. And I get there, and some reporter for Bloomberg was saying that the city I lived in was now experimenting with new traffic features so that drivers spend less time at red lights. And I just turned around and I was like, bull frickin' crap. There is no way that that is actually true. Not after what I just sat through. Gravity is a CIA plot to keep people on Earth. Well, someone inform Isaac Newton. 2 words, transdimensional Bigfoots. Okay then. Here is a supposed Freemason/Illuminati disclosure letter from someone who claims he was cloned by them, and every time he falls asleep and hits REM stage, his consciousness awakens in his cloned body, and he is tortured in extreme ways by people such as the Queen of England, Mila Kunis, and other famous elite members. The strange thing is that his story was confirmed by Tila Tequila, and they actually met each other in their cloned bodies. Anyone else remember Tila's crazy Illuminati tweets? Thankfully, no. That Chris Farley didn't die. He just became the mayor of Toronto. Rob Ford. I had completely forgotten about him. Oh my gosh, that guy was insane. And not only can I see somewhat of a physical resemblance, Chris Farley was just crazy enough I could see him being Rob Ford. That modern popular celebrities like Jay-Z and Beyonce have been recruited by the Illuminati as a means of getting the people of the world to become mindless, conspicuously consuming sheep. Newsflash, they didn't need to be recruited. That's just happened. I've heard one about cats being videotape recorders for alien civilizations. Them purring is the sound of the videotape recording, etc. Kind of the opposite, but I know a guy who doesn't believe in dolphins. He puts them in a category with a Loch Ness Monster and aliens. Yes, because every single show featuring a dolphin was fabricating that. Every single dolphin you see at an aquarium is not real. No, they're very, very real. My wife and I swam with them when we went to Mexico for our first anniversary, which was a lot of fun, by the way, I might add. My friend believes that Bill Gates is attempting to sterilize the world in order to create a sort of new world order for the rich and elite. Well, your friend wasn't entirely wrong. It was just Jeffrey Epstein, who, by the way, did not kill himself, who was trying to do that. I'm late to the party, but oh well. One of my favorites is that Bob Ross was in prison while making his show. He always wore the same shirt and there was no background in the studio. The show ran for 10 years because he had a 10-year sentence. That's an interesting idea. I mean, I have a very hard time seeing Bob Ross doing anything that would merit him a 10-year prison sentence, but the shirt in the background, it's not exactly a bad point to make. You can check out more funny and uplifting AskReddit content on the left, or if you want to see the video YouTube thinks is best for you, hit the button on the right. Now you guys stay safe, stay healthy, I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.